It was late, and the sky wept with heavy rain that drenched the empty streets. The city was quiet, save for the distant hum of thunder and the steady tapping of water against the pavement. A man named Daniel trudged home, his shoulders heavy with the weight of yet another day filled with disappointment. His dreams felt distant, his hope worn thin. But then, he stopped. Just ahead, beneath a lonely, flickering streetlight, stood a figure. The light sputtered, casting shadows that seemed to twist and stretch, and for a heartbeat, Daniel thought his tired eyes were deceiving him. But as the glow steadied, he froze. The figure was not a stranger. It was a man who looked exactly like him. Same face, same stance, as though a living mirror had stepped out into the rain. The older man stepped closer, his eyes holding the weight of time itself. In a low, steady whisper, he said, "I am you, 20 years from now, and I've come to show you what becomes of your life." The words hung in the rain-soaked air, impossible, unbelievable. Daniel let out a short, nervous laugh, shaking his head at the absurdity. But the man did not waver. Slowly, he reached into his coat and pulled out something small. Something Daniel had not seen in years. Resting in his palm was a watch, scratched, worn, but unmistakable. Daniel's breath caught. It was the very watch he had lost as a child. A piece of his past, he thought, was gone forever. He touched it with trembling fingers, and the cold metal told him the unthinkable truth. This was real. The future self reached out and laid a firm hand on Daniel's shoulder. In an instant, the rain, the street, the night, all of it dissolved into a swirl of blinding light. When Daniel opened his eyes, he was no longer standing on the pavement, but inside visions of his own future. Before him, two paths unfolded. In the first, he saw himself in polished shoes and a pressed suit, working a safe and respectable job. The desk was stacked with money, the house was large, and his life looked steady from the outside. Yet, his eyes were empty, his laughter forced, his spirit bound by invisible chains. He had everything, except himself. Then, the vision shifted. In the second path, he saw another version of himself. This Daniel was restless, chasing wild dreams that often left him bruised, broken, and worn down. There were failures, long nights of tears, and moments of aching loneliness. But through it all, his eyes shone with fire. His smile was real, alive, unshaken by the struggles he faced. He had little in his hands, but everything in his heart. Every choice you make tonight will decide which path you walk, the older self said, his voice echoing with a weight that pierced through the silence. Around Daniel, the visions shifted again. He was shown temptations, shining towers of wealth built overnight, doors that opened with shortcuts, escapes that promised comfort without struggle. For a moment, they glittered like treasures within reach, dazzling and seductive. But as Daniel looked closer, the shine began to fade. The towers crumbled into dust, the doors collapsed into darkness, and the faces of those who had once praised him turned away in cold silence. The older version of himself stepped closer, his eyes steady, almost sorrowful. "These are the shortcuts," he whispered. "They may feel sweet at first, but every shortcut steals a piece of your soul. And once enough is taken, there is nothing left of you." Daniel's heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing like thunder in the storm around him. Fear pressed against his mind, whispering that safety was the only way. Choose the steady road, the easy life, and escape the pain of failure. Yet deep within, another voice rose, softer but stronger. Hope. It begged him to risk everything, to step into the unknown, to fight for the dreams he once believed in. Caught between these two forces, Daniel found himself in a storm that was not just outside, but inside his very soul. He argued with himself, each thought clashing like lightning in the night. His doubts accused him, reminding him of every failure, every mistake, every reason to stay small. His regrets echoed, heavy with the weight of opportunities lost. And then, rising from the shadows of his mind, he saw the younger version of himself, the boy who once dreamed freely, without fear, without limits. That boy's eyes shone with innocence and courage, a reminder of the fire Daniel had almost forgotten. At last, Daniel lifted his head, his breath unsteady, and locked eyes with his future self. The rain still poured around them, lightning cracking across the sky, but in that moment, Daniel's voice cut through the chaos. "I would rather die chasing my dreams than live safe and empty." The words trembled as they left his lips, but they carried the weight of truth, the strength of a choice finally made. With shaking hands, he reached for the glowing contract that bound his fate. For a heartbeat, fear gripped him. What if he was wrong? What if hope betrayed him? But then, with a surge of courage, he tore it apart. The sound of ripping paper echoed like thunder. And then, silence. The storm froze mid-breath, raindrops suspended in the air, lightning paused in the sky. Even time itself seemed to stop, holding the moment as if the universe leaned in to witness his decision. Daniel stood trembling, but free, his heart burning brighter than it ever had before. When Daniel opened his eyes, the storm was gone. The street was empty, silent, washed clean by the rain. His future self had vanished like a shadow at dawn, leaving behind no riches, no contracts, no shortcuts, nothing but Daniel himself. For the first time, he felt light, unchained. All he had was the long road ahead, his fragile but burning dreams, and the courage to chase them. The clouds parted, and the first rays of morning broke across the horizon. Golden light touched his face, warm and alive, as if the world itself welcomed his choice. With steady steps, Daniel began to walk toward the rising sun. And as he moved forward, he whispered into the quiet air, words that carried both promise and power. The future begins tonight. This is the end of the moral, ethical story of the man who met his future self. For more exciting and morally nurtured stories, subscribe, share, and hit the notification button for more. I am David Amber, aka David Animate. Enjoy your day.